Alright, behind me is my vegetable garden that we have, that we grow our yearly vegetables in it, non-fruit plants. Um, it is right under 500 square feet. I got 8 rows this year. My first year of actually kind of doing rows, because I've always used a sprinkler and kind of just planted stuff miscellaneous throughout. But this year I got 8 rows of drip tape. I have to say the drip tape's been a huge improvement of keeping disease, especially off the tomatoes, and the plants definitely seem happier. Well, we have had some struggles this year due to some. We had 2 late freezes this year that put gardening behind, and we also had 2 late frosts this year that put gardening behind. So some plants are doing really well. My tomatoes are doing phenomenal this year. I have, I think, 10 tomato plants, 7 or 8 different varieties, and I will end up making a video about the tomato varieties I'm growing. So the tomatoes are doing great. Peppers are doing great. I have, I believe, 5 different types of pepper plants, almost about 3 dozen. They're doing maybe 2 dozen pepper plants. They're doing quite well, very healthy, so no issues with those. I have a row of broccolini, also known as Chinese broccoli or vice versa. I'm gonna say a green that you can grow when it's warmer, because actually what you're after the flower shoots anyway, so you're after the plant bolting, and you just keep clipping those. Um, but yeah, it was pretty good. And I have another row of sweet potatoes. I got 2 types of sweet potatoes. I have a Jersey white sweet potato, or which is well, it's a white sweet potato, kind of almost can kind of get like a creamy yellow in there, but mostly just a white sweet potato. I'll probably make a video about sweet potatoes as well. And I also have, I believe, for Georgia Jet sweet potatoes. I have a row of those. I also have a row of soybeans that is not up. Uh, Mother Nature has been brutal getting the soybeans up around here, and I believe the seeds I got were not the best, so I did plant some new ones yesterday, uh, and hopefully those will germinate, and I think they will. That's the first year I've actually really ever had a struggle with soybeans, so I really believe it's between the weather and just some seeds. They're not cooperating. I also have a row of dragon beans, which is a bush type like snap bean. They're really pretty looking, um, purple white stripes in them, and apparently they taste pretty well. Um, so first year growing those, but most of them did come up, and I probably will plant a few more seeds in the areas where they didn't come up, and that'll actually work out just fine because they'll give me a longer season. So no problems there. I have another row that goes down at the very end, and that is nothing but melons, watermelons, cantaloupe, honeydew, and so on. That whole row is not doing the best this year. The weather has really put us. I feel like I'm almost like 4 weeks behind on my melons this year. I mean, the weather just was not cooperative at all. It was just the soil temperatures were just too darn cold, and they don't tolerate that. I do have another row that kind of goes in the back, so it's actually more than 8 rows. I have 8 rows that are going down, but I'm also taking advantage of the first part of the drip tape that goes across the base here on the bottom and then at the top of it. So in that very front row, it goes all the way across horizontally. I have basically a zucchini, one zucchini plant. I have a pumpkin plant, and then I have some winter squash, so spaghetti, acorn, and butternut. My first year growing acorn, I have grown spaghetti before and butternut, but my first year growing acorn, I have a few cucumber plants. And on this back row, I didn't cover. Um, I have some okra. Okra's like also 4 weeks behind. Okra hates cold soil, especially cold, damp soil. So uh, behind on okra this year. You win some, you lose some. I have a few red castor beans I just use because they look kind of cool. That's it. And I did forget to cover. And one of my rows with my pepper plants, I have some herbs. I have some basil. I have a Thai basil, an Italian basil. I have a basil that I'm going for. It's an African basil, and I have a lime basil. And I'll probably make a video about basil because I really do like that. Yeah, that's basically my vegetable garden. Like I said, I'm doing it this year with drip tape. I highly recommend it. It's so far been a really good investment, and it's a lot easier, and the plants have been a lot less disease on them. Like tomatoes this time of year would have a lot of leaf discoloration. They wouldn't be nearly as green and bushy as they are right now. This is so far this year. I can say this has been done completely organically, organic fertilizer, both using gardening tone or plant tone, whichever one you want to use is what I started them off with, and they've been fed, I believe, 3 or 4 times now with a fish fertilizer that has actually been injected into the drip tape, so they can fed fertilizer through the drip tape of fish emulsion. The only pesticide I've used so far has been organic pesticide. I'm going to try to keep it that way this year, but no promises. The squash bugs here are enemy number one. I don't have to worry about my tomato plants and all the other plants when they get a bug. They eat the leaves here and there. It's fine. It's really not that big of a deal. But the squash bugs here are absolutely devastating beyond belief. They will destroy every type of plant that they eat, which is, well, pumpkin, squash, whether it be winter squash or summer squash. I've not had much of an issue with them with cucumbers or melons, but they will destroy your squash and winter squash plants. I mean, just done. And so if you don't stay on top of that infestation, it only gets worse and worse. And last year I went to darn near nuclear war with squash bugs, and I think I've devastated their population significantly in this area, because I'm not having near the problem with squash bugs this year as I had last year. I've only had like 5, and that I've seen in the garden. I've killed every single one, versus having 5,000. I mean, I'm serious. All squash bugs do is mate, lay eggs, eat, and repeat, and they never stop, and they do it all summer. So anyway, that's just kind of a brief overview of my garden. If you have any questions, let me know, and I will make videos about the particular plants. So I will make a video about my tomato varieties. Are they indeterminate, determinate, which ones I like, which ones or why I've picked these tomato varieties and I've kept growing certain ones, and so on, and go over peppers and herbs and melons and squash, and I'll make and stuff like that. But anyway, I hope y'all have a good day, and hope this